Hey, this is Peggy with Easy Peasy Machine Embroidery, and today I am in the Creativate embroidery software, and specifically the Essential version. If you've already downloaded the free basic Creativate program, this is covering the next level up called the Essential version. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel to keep these types of videos coming. I try to make videos after classes that I do in person, and if you want a video on something specific, leave it in the comments, and when I read the comment, I'll see if I can make that video for you. So this is the open screen, and you will notice that you have one extra item on this screen than you had in the free program. It basically works the same over here on the left hand side. I've covered these items in other videos. We're going to hit blank canvas. I'm going to choose the 200 by 200 quilter's hoop, but up here the hoop group, there's all kinds of machines here, and you want to choose the machine that you have. And once you have clicked on the machine that you have, then you can pick the hoop. If your machine is not listed, you can go to enter hoop size and just put in the size of the hoop that you are planning on using. So I am going to do the 200 by 200 millimeter hoop. So the home tab is pretty much the same. The Create tab has the Express design, and you can design into the hoop or into a rectangle. You can, if you decide to do design into the rectangle, you're going to make your rectangle, and it will put a design in there. I like to use Express Trace, and I say next here. And then I want to load a picture, and I'm going to choose this Easter egg that I got off of Google Images, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So we're going to say next here. If I had some solid circles here or something that might interfere with a trace, then I could actually go into Edit Picture and delete those solid circles, but I don't have any today, so we're not going to do that. We're going to go Edit, or we're going to go Next, and this is where we crop. If you need to straighten a photo, because maybe it came in when you saved the photo at an angle, you can straighten that angle right here, going up or down. I'm going to say next. Find outline. You can see what the outline is. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to say next. The one thing I will do here is that I'm going to darken that outline up. And then I'm going to say next. That looks good. And right now it's a size 83. And there is your Easter egg. We got to remember that's a very small egg. If I go back and I load that same picture, and I want it to fit into the hoop instead, not into the rectangle. I can change my hoop here, but it's at the 200 by 200 hoop, which is what I want. I'm going to leave it there. We're going to say next, and there it is again. And sometimes these work better than others. There's a little choppiness in here. I've done this before and it came out perfect. So if I put that, there's my Easter egg, and I can use watercolor pencils or whatever to color that in. To get images to play with, first you go into google.com, go into the image section in the upper right hand corner and type something in. In class today I did a daisy. Right here are the tools, and sometimes people don't remember to use those. You can filter them out by clip art and line drawing. I like line drawings, and I am going to pick this daisy. I'm hoping it comes in as a JPEG or a PNG. Yes, it does. So I'm just going to save it to my desktop. I'm going to go back out of here. And I'm going to delete what's on my screen and design into hoop. Create express trace again. Load a picture. Here's my picture. I can go into edit picture. And go into the paint program and get an eraser. I'm going to tune that brush up a little bit, and I'm just going to get rid of that lettering. And I can close that out, and the lettering is gone. And I'm going to crop my picture. Going to say next, and next. I'm going to darken my outline a little bit. Next. I wanted the 200 by 200 hoop. And next. And there is my flower. So that's how that is done. I'll do finish, and that will stitch out like a regular embroidery. If I went into Express Design and into the hoop and create Express Border, so I'm going to go out into onto my desktop and get a silhouette, and I found this on Google as a coloring book page. We're going to go next. Click and crop that down a little bit. Next. Next. And I want that to be a 200 by 260 hoop in a rotated orientation, and say OK. Next. And there is my bunny outline. It comes in as an applique, and I have stitch type as a satin line. I can change it to triple stitch. Stitch options. My stitch width on the border is 2 millimeters. Excuse me. If I'm doing applique, I like to tune that up a little bit to 3.5 or so. That makes it wider so it'll cover your fabric edges a little better. You could also do a motif line, and you have all kinds of motifs to use. For now, I'm just going to use a bean stitch and say OK. You could also, if you had a specific fabric you wanted to use, you could take a picture with your cell phone and bring it up on your desktop and then import it this way, and it would put that fabric as, instead of the green, you'd see your own fabric. Or you can pick here, and there's all kinds of fabrics that you can use. And that shows the fabric that would be in the applique. So that is Express Border. Express Design into the hoop. There is Express Embroidery. I don't use this much because I tend to digitize most of the things I would normally want to use this for. But you would go next here. So I went out onto Google Images again, and I found this butterfly. You want to find something that has not a lot of color variations. Like right here we have yellow, and it variates into some darker oranges. You want nice clean colors. Otherwise it will probably mess up on you. But we'll try this. This would not be a good one. This would probably not be a good one. So I tend to not use this version too awful much, but we'll try it. Load picture. There's that butterfly. I can crop it. And here again, I would use a probably 150 by 150 hoop. Doesn't matter which way I do the orientation because it is a square hoop. I'm going to say next. Here are my colors. I can go down another color. And each time I go downward, it removes some of the color. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to go down one more. Apply it and then say next. Let's see what it does. So this is the embroidery that it was going to stitch out. I probably would get rid of this color. So I'm going to select that and say delete it. I'm going to say next again. Still got a little bit here. Let's see if it just left a hole there or what the deal. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the white. Delete. I'm just going to go next here. And that looks doable. And it would stitch out just like this, but it would have a background, which we could have removed that when we first started. So it's pretty good. Like I say, I don't spend a lot of time doing that one. I use mainly the borders and the trace. So next on my list, the lettering. There are, good Lord, I think about 243 fonts that you can use. And you also have the ability to create your own fonts. So these fonts right here are fonts that I have created either purchased the fonts and made them so they work within the software, or created them myself using online portals like DaFont. But there's a whole lot of letters there. I'm just going to go with Antonia. You also have a font manager available, and you can say, I want a font that is specifically, maybe I'm going to make a quilt label. So I want a font that is 10 millimeters, give or take -2 millimeters. And it will show you all those fonts that fit in that criteria. And if I said I want size 8 font, plus or minus, it will show you what fonts you can use that are in that size. So, I'm going to type hello, and I'm going to change, it says the smallest font size you should use is 10 and the largest 30. So I'm going to try 30. And I'm just going to click apply. And I see something. I've got it on, I had it on a different view from teaching class today. So, back into lettering. So, say you don't like that lettering. You can right click it and you get a menu in which you can edit that lettering. Remember, you can drag the top with a left click so you can see kind of what you're doing. And maybe you're afraid that the two L's are going to be too close together. Or you have words that just look like they're going to be too close together. So you can set the gap up, and it will move those letters farther apart. You can also bring those letters in different shapes. And there's all kinds of shapes there. This allows you to do the wording at an angle. This one right here has little notches across the top. Those notches, you can mess with the lettering and change how it looks. I'm going to do a select all and delete what is there. You can make the letters come in individually by clicking the individual box. And notice over here on the film strip, it now comes in, each letter has its own slide. And what that means, if you click on the letter, you can move it around. You can go over to the right side and double click inside that color and change it to another color. You can grab the circle here and kind of tip it if you'd like. And one more thing I'd like to address. I'm going to hold the shift key down and go down to number 5 so they're all highlighted, and hit delete. And say I want that letter, and it says I can only go as high as 30 millimeters. I'm going to put a Z in there. And I know that this hoop is, what, 150 by 150, I think? I'm not sure what hoop I picked. Let's see what hoop I got. Yep, 150 by 150. Remember, the hoop, you can change it up here, or you can do a Control H, and that will bring up the hoop. So there's my Z. I'm going to say I want that Z to be 100, which it's not supposed to be, but we're going to try it. Okay, and the problem with this is that these satin stitches are going to be way too long to, they're going to catch on everything. They're going to loop up, and they're just, it's not going to be right, and we're not going to be happy with it. But I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to put it on regular, and I'm going to uncheck individual. Leave that Z there. So say I want to use a really big letter, and it's going to end up having a really wide stitch. I'm going to go into Edit Lettering. I'm going to go into Satin Column. So a right click will give us the menu, and we want to go down to Satin Column because that's what it is. And I can take right here and change the texture of that letter so it doesn't have as many really long stitches in it. And there are, good Lord, about 120 of these different textures that you can use. I'm going to hit OK, and there is the texture in the letter Z, which now is usable on a sweatshirt or something. Alrighty, so that is your line spacing. We've covered gap, covered those. If you I'm going to put the reverse, and I'm going to use all capitals. I'm going to tape the word God in there, and because it's kind of come in reverse, so it puts it into here in reverse. If I have every good dog and I'm going to change that back to a size 30, and I'm going to hit apply. Apparently I still got, excuse me, sorry. I still got it on reverse. So we're going to go apply here. Line spacing is going to be the space between your lines, and it's, if I put it up to, let's do 3 and apply that, it's going to put a lot of space between those lines. If I take that back down to a 1, and I'm going to make my letters even smaller. I'll do 15. Come on. Let's see. We got 15. There we go. Spacing is 1. And there it is with the lines really close together. If we did 3 and apply, it puts it farther apart. If I did alignment to the left, everything's going to be on the left. If I did alignment to the center, everything's going to be lined up in the center. So those are your fonts. I've already covered Quick Font in another video. You get super designs. And anytime you see a little arrow with a line above it, it means there's a lot more. So just drop it down and you have all of these super designs that you can play with. I really like adding buttons in the hoop because you can line them up perfectly. Lots and lots of items there to play with. So, I'm going to go back up here to and if you let go accidentally, and it'll automatically remember where you were last time, I'm going to click a button. And I'm going to change the size to 20 and hit apply. And then I'm going to go over to another feature that you get with the Essential program is Encore. And this is Encore. Encore means that you can take one item that is selected, meaning the green boxes are around it, and you can multiply them. So if I want 6 multiples of this button, I hit preview, and it will show you what those buttons would look like multiplied in a circle. If I like what I see, and remember I can go in an oval shape, or I can determine, the shape of the circle. And we're going to say apply, because it is not finished until you apply it. And if you look right here, it means that they are grouped. Those 2 little boxes, they are grouped. I can right click and ungroup them. When they are ungrouped, you can click on one and change the color or whatever you'd like to do. You can move it, you can twist it if it needs twisting. And when you've got all that done, you can click the top button and the bottom button and right click, and you can say, you can combine them, you can group them. I'm going to group them. And now I'm going to go back into Super Designs, and I'm going to click on a spool. And I'm going to say, let's do 25 and apply it. And it's highlighted now. And I can tell over here. I can also tell here because of the green boxes. I'm going to go to Encore. I'm going to go to Preview again. I can move this out. If I wanted to have the spools going a different way, I can just tip them over like so and try preview again. And I like that, so now I'm going to hit apply. Again, they are grouped, so I'm fine with that. If while they are in, I'm going to group, while they are in a group, I'm going to do a combine selected. And I can actually go to the Home tab and say color sort that. Same up here. I can go to combine the selected, and it is combined. And it's one color, so no need to color sort there. If it looks a little different color, it's because they're twisted around, so the thread would look a little different. And I could go to Super Design one more time, and let's go get the needle. And I think that's better be a little bit smaller. Let's go 25 on that and say OK and encore it. Preview. And it's too big, so we're going to hit cancel. And if I wanted to still stay with that theme, I'm going to go down to, let's go down to a 19. And then encore, preview. And there you go, you've got a little design all done. The other thing you can do is once you've encored it and applied it, you can also tip and rotate each one of these. Okay, that is encore. I'm going to get rid of everything again, and I'm going to type in FLOWE flower and hit enter. And I'm going to get the daisy, and I'm going to set that up to, yeah, I'm going to leave it right at 20. I'm going to go into Encore, and now I'm going to use a line. I'm going to do a curved line. I'm going to do 6 repeats. That doesn't do it for me, but if I slide this down a little bit, now I have something that I like. And then I can say apply, and it's good. And I can copy it and paste it. So home, copy, and paste it. Remember, if you, doesn't want to do that. So let's do combine selected, and now we're going to do a copy and paste. Remember, copy puts one right on top of the other, and if we duplicate it, it's going to put it just off to the side so you know what you've got. If you do copies, sometimes you forget that there's a copy underneath it, and that's not good. So an item would stitch out twice. I know I've got it on copy, so I'm just gonna do like this. And I can make a frame that way. So in Encore, there's all, you know, you can go around the outside of the hoop, you can do different shapes. Just for kicks and giggles. let's get rid of all this again and go get that design and encore it, and let's use that design there. And it's not going to let me set the number, but it's going to just place them around in that shape. Okay, so you can do all kinds of playing in there. You can also set the gap between whatever item you're encoring, so it just takes a lot of playing. Alright, now I'm going to get a super design again. I'm going to get the same one. This time I'm going to make it let's do 50. So the next tab is the frames. All of these frames with the blue behind them, green, purple, with the fabric in there that you can see are appliques. Those are great for making badges. I'm going to just pick that. If you hear weirdness going on, that's my dog. She's barking to get in, she's scratching to go out, and all that happiness. Anyway, so if I am selected the item, if I have selected the item, it will put whatever box around the item. If you click outside of the item, so it's not selected, you can resize that frame. Okay, so that's how that works. And there's all kinds of those frames that you can use. Something, again, that you can play with. There are corners, and the same thing. If the item is selected, it's going to put the corner on that item. If it is not selected, it will put it so you can resize it. There are side pieces to play with. I like this one for encoring and this one for encoring. So, I mean, you don't have to have a super design to encore it. It can be frames and stuff too. So, if I do this, it puts them on the outside. You can move it. And if I am clicked in the box, it puts it closer to, and I can't move them separately. Okay. And I'm doing Control Z as in zebra every time I do this to undo things. For this one, you can, let's pick this design, and you can have it land above or below, or you can do a duo, and if you're clicked in it, it's going to put it right above and below. If you're clicked outside, then you have to resize it. And that's not going to work, except you're going to have to ungroup it. So you'd have to ungroup, right click, ungroup. You could move one down, one above. Of course, these are really large, so. And if you look at the design panel at the thread count, you'll see that when I resize these, the thread count changes. Okay, and in that case I would just do a duplicate and copy and paste or duplicate to get the second one. Okay, and then we have motifs that you can play with. I'm not going to do that. And you also have I'm going to click on that. I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to choose the diamond, and that just put a crosshatch fill around my design. And I'm going to do a Control Z because I'm going to see what Edit Fill allows me. So you could use motifs in there. I typically, I don't know, I would do, if I was going to do embossing, I would probably do it in another version of the program. That being said, I would do it in probably Quilt Block Wizard or in digitizing. Anyway, your View tab, you now get the Get Length ruler. I'm left clicking and dragging to see what the length of this daisy is, and remember I made it a size 50, so that's perfect. Your grid is how big your boxes are in the grid. I will sometimes set them at 25, which is basically 1 inch. And remember, if I put a 1 and hold down the Shift key and the quote and hit enter, that will tell me that 1 inch is 25 millimeters. The reason why you might change your grid size is to help line things up or to size things. So if I know that each one of these squares is 1 inch, then this daisy is going to be 4 inches. Okay, so now I've got it at 4 inches, and let's get the ruler. Whoops. And get the ruler, and actually it's two across. Sorry, 2 across. My math is horrible. So we got 2 across, 2 down, and when I do the ruler, it's going to show that it is, yes, 2 inches. If I wanted to do, say, boxes, I don't know if you can do that or not. So yes, that's 50. So that is roughly 2 inches for each block. So that you have your ruler. Here's a realistic view, what it's going to look like without that grid, and your 2D view is going to show the stitches. If you went to the home page, the home tab, there's your life view. You can look at it and see what it looks like close up. You can move it around, and you can also see what it looks like at an angle. If you're using metallic threads or something, that's pretty cool. You can do the design player and watch and see how it's going to stitch out. If we had, let's see, I'm going to set my view back to 25 for the grid. And I'm going to go into my super designs one more time. And I'm going to, I know my hoop is 150 by 150. I'm going to say I want it to be 200. So that's going to be really huge. And it's probably not going to stitch out right. Because you see all this blank space. But if you had a design that was really big, I'm trying to think of an example. I know what we'll do. I'm going to change my hoop size to a width of 200 with a height of 800. And now, just for kicks and giggles, let's say I'm going to insert. And I was just working with something, so I'm going to see if it's still here. And, alright. So there is a growth chart. And I actually had a bigger hoop. So I'm going to change my hoop again. So I'm going to make it 1,000. And just for kicks and giggles, I'll resize it there. So what this is a growth chart. And I can go home and I can say I want this to go in an endless hoop, or I can do a split project. And split project is what's going to happen is it is going to, I'm going to set that to 10. I don't know why, but that's what I'm setting at. Sometimes I don't ask questions when I see it in other people's videos. We're going to use my really big Epic 3 hoop. And it shows here that I would hoop it 3 times. If I want to change it to my 260 by 200 hoop, you're going to see that it's going to separate it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hoopings. And I really like, when I'm doing these kinds of things, to do them in a metal hoop. So if I click metal hoop, you're going to see that we've got actually a lot of hoopings there. One on each side. So that looks like it'd be a pain in the butt for that one. So I'm going to go back to the 260, 200. And leave it at that. I want corner stitches. It's going to put corner stitches in each corner so that when I rehoop, I can match my needles to the corners. And we're good there. That's what it's going to look like. And I can see what each section is going to look like. And you have to do a export all sections. You say OK. And I'm going to make a new folder and put it in there because I've already done it once. And I'm just going to call it Pooh and do an export. And if we go next, it'll show us, it'll let us look at or print our sheets so that we know colors and whatnot. I'm going to say finish. I'm going to X out here because I think that was the last thing I wanted to show you in the program. I'm going to hit no there, and I believe, let's see, someplace there'll be a growth chart called Pooh. It was actually in, I never named the folder. So here are the files that I would be stitching out, and it would all be on one long piece of fabric, and I would just keep joining them using those corner stitches. Okay, so there is a lot that you can do with that essential Creativate program. And I love Creativate. And now I'm trying to figure out how to get, and I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to say goodbye and hope you've learned a little bit about that Creativate program.